Hello, my friends. This video is about a recent addition to Substack, to the Substack platform, which is the page of Ira Chorush, a great expert player, friend of mine, and he you can find him under this handle here if you search the Substack uh, list of pages. And he started with an interesting problem. We discussed it over the phone a few days ago, and you can read it at your leisure, but I will take us to the full hand and give my thoughts on it. And so first let's look at the bidding. This is how the hand was actually played, incidentally. And this is the actual bidding. Ira was kibitzing a table in which that's happened. This is very good bidding, by the way. One diamond, one spade, two diamonds was an inverted raise. It's not a very usual convention after interference, after an overcall. Most people don't play it that way, but it certainly helped north south here. So south splintered in spades, and after a key card asked showed a void and one key card, one or three key cards, and partner ended the bidding in seven diamonds. And that's a very promising contract. So our job as declarers is always to count our tricks. And we can see that if trumps are 2-1, we take two rounds of trumps and we are left with three trumps in each hand. And we will score them all separately. So that's 2 plus 6, that's 8 tricks. And we also have on the side ace king queen of hearts and ace king of clubs. So that's 13. In other words, against trumps 2-1, we have no problems at all. So we have to plan against trumps 3-0. And we should actually plan against trumps 3-0 in both hands. But we also know that there is a spade imbalance given the overcall here. So West has 5 spades, maybe 6, and East has 1 or 2 spades typically. And so it's far more likely that if anybody is void in diamonds should be the guy who's long in spades. And therefore the main likelihood here of trumps 3-0 is with 3 trumps in East. And so if we have to draw 3 rounds of trumps, we have to only we'll lose a trump trick out of those 8 that we counted. So we draw 3 rounds of trumps. We have 4 trumps left in each hand. We'll score them separately, but that's 3 plus 4, 7 instead of 8. And so we have to find an extra trick when trumps are 3-0. One possibility is the fall of the queen of clubs, either because it's short or because the suit falls, the suit breaks. So clubs are 4-4. And to take advantage of that, and considering that we are not very much in doubt with entries to the clubs to the south hand, this hard blockage should be worrisome for this line. One way to plan the play would be if we are focusing on establishing the fifth club. We ruff this opening lead. Great play, as Eddie Cantor would say. We ruff the opening lead. Then we ruff a club before touching trumps. That is absolutely safe. Everybody knows that clubs are not 8-0, right? And so the club ruff is safe. Having ruffed the club, now we cash the ace of diamonds. If trumps are 2-1, we claim. If they're not, we still have the entries to establish and cash. Remember, we ruffed the first spade in our hand. So now we have queen fourth. Then we ruff the club. And now when we cash ace of diamonds, we continue with king of diamonds, diamonds to our hand. We are in our hand, winning the third diamond. We ruff the next club in dummy with dummy's last trump, right? Dummy ruff twice, and we drew 3 rounds of trumps. Now one block hearts, ruff a spade to our hand, and if the the club queen falls, we have 13 tricks. Okay? And so that is a reasonable line. It's not best though, but it's a reasonable line. And we will see why it's not best in a moment. I don't see any losing case for the club ruff immediately here. So that's how I would have tackled this hand. I would ruff a club and cash the ace of diamonds without going too much into the weeds about what is the best line. But in the leisure of my living room, discussing this hand with Ira, he pointed out, he agreed that we should start with a club ruff, by the way. The actual declarer did not. This is how the hand started in actual play. A diamond to the ace, and now the void in diamonds is revealed. But in the leisure of our living room, especially after this start, I would, at this point, if I were playing at the top of my game, try to figure out West's hand. So he has 0 diamonds, and he discarded the club, which should typically be from relative length. He would not, for instance, have discarded the club from queen third, but he could have discarded the club from 4 little or from 5 little. And so if he has 4 little clubs or 5 little clubs, the full hand should be something like 5 spades, 5 clubs, 3 hearts, or 5 spades, 4 clubs, 4 hearts, maybe 6 spades, 4 clubs, 3 hearts, something in that general ballpark. And now Ira mentioned something that he thought it was intriguing when he was playing with his hand on the internet, because let me show you how the cards were distributed, because that will enable the Gib engine. And he noticed this interesting thing, that at this moment the hand is still makeable according to Gib, as long as you don't play a diamond. For those who are not acquainted with Gib, this is a double dummy analyzer that when you press this button, when you have a file like this on your computer, it analyzes all possibilities from a double dummy viewpoint. And so what he's telling us is that if we play a spade, any spade, we still have a path to 13 tricks. But if we play a diamond, any diamond, and the defense plays all their cards perfectly, we are doomed to go down at this point. And so we can now force the hand to be played. He says that you can play the ace of hearts. So let's play the ace of hearts. Now if we hit on Gib again, now he says you can't cash the king of hearts. So that's what intrigued Ira. And why can you cash the ace and not the king? Is there any line in it which is essential to cash 1 heart but not 2? That would be a very interesting situation. And we were discussing it over the phone. And so I had I didn't have a screen with the Gib analysis, but he told me, can you understand why? And then I was trying to figure the hand out, and I think that when you phrase the question like that, is that a hand in which you are required to cash 1 heart but not 2? Then that's a very neat question that does not admit of a good answer in this hand, because I think it's a wrong question. The right question is, can you survive cashing 1 heart? Yes. Can you survive cashing 2 hearts? No. Why not? Because those hearts have uses as entries. And so let's talk about the second possible line, which is this. Instead of hoping for clubs to break even, and note that they would. So the line that we have just discussed would win the contract. But we can get our 8 trump tricks by roughing spades in our hand, if East has at least two. And so I think the proper, let's exit. I think the proper line after a diamond to the ace is to play a spade, to see how many spades East has. So we should play a spade. He follows suit. And now at this point, if we can rough another spade in our hand and cash our side tricks, all of them, we are home. We will have 3 spades roughs in our hand, plus 5 diamonds in dummy 8, and our 5 side suit tricks, 3 hearts and 2 clubs. And so now what we should do is to lead a heart up to dummy, using it as an entry. And we could have cashed the ace of hearts first. You'll see that we'll have an extra entry. And now force East to commit himself when we lead the third spade. If he doesn't rough, we'll talk about if he doesn't rough in a moment. But maybe he will rough with a 10. Now our job is to over rough, and we have to cash our side tricks, and there is this heart blockage. No problem, we can unblock a heart by discarding it on the club. Now we cash the 2 hearts and the king of clubs. East will follow suit. And notice how much easier this will be if you have that picture of the hand in your mind, in your mind's eye, of West having 6-4-3-0 or 5-5-3-0 or 5-4-4-0. In all of these scenarios, all of these side tricks survive. So you see what's going on here. We are discarding all our spades. And now we simply play a diamond to dummy. And dummy is high. And so let's see if East can create more problems for us by not roughing. So we lead a spade at trick 3. Lead a heart to dummy. And lead a spade. He discards a club, let's say. Now we rough low, instead of roughing with the queen, of course. And we are in a very similar situation. Ace of clubs, discarding the heart, and the queen of hearts, then the jack of hearts, all following suit. King of clubs. And now we unblock diamonds. And when we try to get to dummy with a club rough, it survives. And so we cash the rough a club and draw traps. So that line works too. Roughing 3 spades in our hand. And cashing ace king of hearts doesn't. And let's see why. Because that's the line that declarer actually chose. Now we won't have to. We can just click next. So declarer was trying to cross rough the hand. And we all know, instead of trying to rough 3 spades in his hand. So that's a conceptual difference here that is, I think it's important to emphasize. When you're planning a cross rough, we have all been trained since early bridge childhood, when we are studying bridge technique, that we have to cash our side suit tricks. And that's what declarer was doing to prevent. Why do we do that? Because we don't want the guy with trumps to discard his losers in this suit in which we have winners, and therefore to rough one of our tricks at a later stage. And so declarer was cashing all his side suit tricks before cross roughing. In this hand, the only gain for that would be if East had 3 hearts or less. Well, or less doesn't help because if he has less, you can't cash 3 hearts anyway. But if he has exactly 3 hearts, you don't want to let him discard a heart. But if he has 3 hearts, now we have to go back to that visualization of the hand. West would have 5-5 in the majors or 6-5 in the majors. And maybe he would have used a Michael's cupid over 1 diamond. Many people would. And so the likelihood of that is quite low. And I think there is a good argument for using the Gibbs suggested line, let's call it like that. But what the declarer actually did was to unblock the hearts and try to cross rough. And now he will cash the ace king of clubs and the queen of hearts, and he's all surviving. The club ruff, and look at what happens at this point, at this trick. He will ruff a spade in his hand, but East will discard his last club. And now there is no good entry to dummy to finish drawing trumps. So that was the difference between cashing both hearts or cashing 0 or 1 heart, is that we allowed East to discard his 4th club. And so he discarded his 4th club. Notice if he discarded the club in our line, let's go back, rewind. In our line here, spade ruff, now we can cash his king of hearts, incidentally. We don't need to guard the hard entries for the fancy unblock. Now, if he discards a club, we already roughed our 3 spades, right? He discarded the club after we roughed the 3 spades. He still has 1, right? Queen of diamonds. And there was no risk of an overruff. What happened is that we played 3 rounds of clubs in the losing line. Played ace, king, and a club before we decided to rough the 3rd spade, before we roughed the 3rd spade. And so that's the combination of plays that we cannot allow. That's my cat. We cannot allow East to discard a club after we roughed 3 clubs. We played 3 clubs. We cashed 2 and roughed the 3rd. So I think that's a very instructive hand about the power of visualizing the opposing hands and basic technique and understanding why we are doing what we're doing, understanding why cashing the ace king of hearts is unlikely to be necessary. And so, of course, the declarer at this hand was a very great player. I don't want to emphasize everybody has an off day, so I won't name him, but I think that it's an instructive hand showing that even excellent declarers can miss some pointers, some important aspects of the hand, especially and now I don't know the environmental factors. I don't know if there was noise around. When we're playing online, it's very different than when we're playing on a actual championship. So I'm pretty sure he would have made this hand in live play. Online play is not ideal for technical excellence. But anyway, it is ideal for technical revision. That's why I hope this video will be of use to many of you. Okay, see you in a future video or article. Bye-bye.